Greetings everyone, welcome to Safi'S kitchen. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a cauliflower and salmon curry stew. This stew is literally amazing. I have to make it at least once a week. It's creamy, a little spicy, and has just the right hint of acidity to bring some balance. In this recipe, the salmon is optional, so either way, it's incredibly delicious because I've tried both. This stew is best served with warm rice. You can use long grain, jasmine, basmati rice. It's up to you. If you like a video on how I make my rice perfectly every single time, definitely let me know in the comments. But before we start, as you can see here, I'm just going to run through the procedure for making the cauliflower and the salmon because they're quite simple. So feel free to pause the video, screenshot, take notes, do whatever you got to do. And we're going to move right into our stew. All right, rice, thank you very much. All right, time to start the curry stew. And also, if you're cooking with me, make sure you have 2.5 cups of chicken stock or vegetable stock or just water heated up nice and hot, because we'll need that in a few minutes. But right now I'm adding in my celery and carrots into my food processor. Before we start that food processor, I'm going to cut up my onion. Now the onions and celery, make sure your carrots are peeled, your ends are cut, and just cut them into big chunks. And we're going to do the same with our celery and our onion, because the food processor is going to do all of the work for us. So as you can see, I have my plastic wrap on my cutting board. That is my little magic trick. Makes cleanup so much easier. I'm just going to cut my onions into big chunks. In this case, I cut it into 6. We're just going to toss those in our food processor, let it run for like a few seconds, and it should look like this when it's done. Now we're adding our vegetables to some hot oil in our pot, and we're going to mix that around, let it heat up. And by the way, when you mix onion, celery, and carrot, it's called a mirepoix. And I just added 2 tablespoons of butter. We're going to mix that around, let it melt, let it cook. It should cook pretty fast because the vegetables are cut very finely. Now I'm going in with my seasonings, and that includes curry, garam masala, all that good stuff. And then of course you already know I'm going to go in with my green seasoning. I use this for everything. And by the way, the recipe will be available very soon. Trust me. All right, so we're kind of just letting these vegetables sit here and burn. I'm kidding. Don't burn it. We're just browning it. We don't worry about trying to keep the vegetables from sticking to the pan. We actually want it to stick to the pan, because what is sticking to the pan is flavor, and in fancy culinary terms, it's called fond, also known as flavor. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take our hot stock that I was telling you about, what I was telling you to put to the side. We're going to add that in, and what that's going to do is lift that fond, lift that flavor up from the bottom of the pot and distribute it evenly throughout our stew. And this is what makes this stew so good. Now we're going to add in our heavy cream, and we're going to add in our crushed tomato, and we're going to mix that really nicely. Ooh, look at that color, such a pretty yellow. And once it comes to a simmer, we're going to give it a taste. You can adjust the seasonings. I think this recipe is pretty spot on though. So we're going to mix that around. If you choose to cook your salmon in the stew rather than in the oven, you can definitely do that. Just throw your salmon in there and cook it for like 10-15 minutes. And then as you can see here, I have my cauliflower, my salmon, and I'm mixing it with the stew that we made. And it smells amazing right now, by the way. So I'm about to plate, add in a nice load of rice, and I'm throwing in my stew. Oh my goodness, this stuff smells so good. It's scary actually. But I'm garnishing this with some tomatoes, some fresh herbs, and some Parmesan cheese. It just gives it some freshness and beautiful presentation. Of course, I added extra sauce, and I'm digging in. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for stopping by.